Hi, welcome back to Spoken Cheltenham. How you doing? Hope you're well. Right then, today we're gonna have a bit of a ramble, eh? Because it's been a while, hasn't it? It seems like ages since we had a good ramble. So we'll do that today. Got plenty of bets. I haven't even counted them up. I don't know, but I'll let you know as we go along. Um, 15 days. Yeah, it's 15 days. So it's been hard lately. It has, you know. But I've got to try and focus now. I want to do myself justice and, hopefully maybe point you to a few winners somewhere, like, amongst it all. So there we go. So yeah, we got loads to catch up on. I'm not really going to go in depth about races and stuff like we normally do. We're going to sort of change gear a little bit now. 15 days, so we're going to get more focused on the races at Cheltenham, Um, but quite a bit's happened, so I will talk about horses that we've seen in the last couple of weeks, like with regards to the races that they'll be going for Cheltenham and stuff, and we'll go through the races like that, okay? Alright. So we'll kick off with a national. Now, the national weights came out, didn't they? A long range sort of fancy there. I know the way you're thinking. I left on 160. He's, I like him. I do. We like him. We've been backing him since last year's national, haven't we? So hopefully a few of you have got the 33s there. He's into 8-1 favourite now. I think best price. But there is a but. You know, connections are not committing to the race. I just got a feeling they might supplement this guy for the Gold Cup. You look at that Gold Cup. I think they're going to drop Fat to Fall to the Ryanair. I know they've got Corbett's Cross in there, but they might throw this fella in too. I look at that Gold Cup, and if you take Galloping out, I'd kind of like this fella maybe to beat the rest. And we like Monty's Star and that, but yeah, he'd have. He won over the track last year, didn't he? He just stormed up that hill in the Kimure as a 6-year-old under all that weight in the ground. The way he sort of stayed on last time at Leopardstown, the extra trip here, you can see it happening, you can. So, just in case, we've said all year Akanda reserves us Iroko, isn't he? So we'll have a bit on him as well. I backed him at the 14-1. I think he is, 365. It might only be 365. I think he's due out this weekend, isn't he, at Kelso? Handbrake will come off now. He's going to improve. He may have his work cut out against Grey Dawning, I believe, still going for the same race. So, he may have his work cut out to win that. But even so, I think you're going to see a different Iroko, So with him being like the JP horse as well, we'll just get him on side as well now. So, we've got two now for the national. We've got I Know the Way You're Thinking at like 33s and Iroko at 14s. Okay. Yeah, he came second, didn't he, behind I Know the Way You're Thinking last year, staying on Aintree. So he's a good a substitute as anything. Intense raffles, yeah, we had the Bobby Joe, didn't we, on Saturday. Intense raffles ran a nice race there. I'd suggest he'd look nicely in at the weights with the winner there in the national. all this horse's forms at Fairy House, isn't it? So there is that to consider with him. He's a prominent racer. He should go well in a national intense raffles. He should. I think he's on a nice sort of mark, and he should get you a big run for your money. I'm not quite sure he's got the kind of maybe like grade one class you kind of need nowadays for it. Not sure, you know. It's like I know the way you're thinking. I think would be top three in a Gold Cup this year. I don't know if this guy would be like in that sort of sense. But yeah, he's going to give like each way players a good run for the money. I'd say Also with that national, with the fences being so much easier now, it might pay more to come from like off the pace a little. They maybe go a little strong up front. They were quite sensible weight last year, though, weren't they? They were all a big bunch, so maybe not. Maybe I'm just talking rubbish. There you go. It won't be the first time, and it won't be the last. So then on to the sort of Cheltenham ones then. William Money, the best bumper horse in Ireland, is back. He is back as well. Um, yeah, he's settled better for Sean Flanagan here. He was still keen. He had his hands full with him. He just about managed to tame the beast, and that enabled him to show his talents off to better effect. Weren't much a race really. Work ahead beat him well, didn't he? But I'd kind of fancy now he's learning to race a bit better that William Money could turn that form around with work ahead. I yeah, I like him. He's out of the recycle bin anyway. Obviously, we got Kopek de Boards there, who just looks otherworldly almost, doesn't he? Um, he'll take some whacking. I think he wins it, to be honest. But take him out of it, and yeah, this fella could be interesting. Like without market, I do like that form, that work head, William Money, Kawabunga, who's out now, and Kopek de Boards. I like that form. That looks the strongest form to me in the novice hurdles. So yeah, he's out of the recycle bin. Made a bit of a mess of the Supreme, didn't I? It doesn't look great on the sheet, but yeah, he's earned his place. He's still, I think, top price. Is he 16s or 14s? Is it's decent each way price if you wanted like an alternative to the favourite. I'd say he'd be the way I'd go anyway. But yeah, might be better going for the without market where you've got a much better chance of landing the win part as well. Right. Also from that race, Tap on the Go. He had a nice jog round there, didn't he? He's now qualified himself for that Martin Pipe. He's sort of stayed on into a distant third. 129 is his rating in Ireland. The weights, I think we get to know tomorrow. Well, I'm not quite sure because I think last year they had a 24-hour embargo or something on it, didn't they? If you remember, it's like I don't know what that's about. Maybe it's just probably just letting bookies adjust the prices before us lot find out. I don't know. It seems a bit cloak and dagger that stuff, doesn't it? But it is what it is. Yeah, hopefully maybe they'll be a bit more transparent with it all this year. But anyhow, yeah, he's rated 129 in Ireland. I'm thinking he maybe gets 6. I'd say maybe he'll be around mid 130s for the Pipe. I'd imagine, and that's fine. Like, that looks nice enough. Like I said before, I do like his been good company for this. You know, McClory, Old Man Dingle, James's Gate, William Money. He's been running in nice races. As I mentioned before, he ran him in the same race he ran Waterford Whispers in last year at Christmas. He's a fine chasing type. He's out there presenting. Yeah, Damsire's presenting. Yeah, I mean, you look at this pipe over the years, and tends to go, doesn't it, to like a graded stay and chase. So they're the sort of horses you're looking for. And I did actually have a look through this field just yesterday, and there's not many you'd pick out like that. There's some sort of nicely handicapped horses, but many of them you'd say are more hurdlers or 2.5 milers, you know. The ones I think could be like 3 mile graded chasers of the future, I'd say, is this fella, McClory, the Enabler, and the fella that won yesterday, Will the Wise. You know, beyond that, I'm struggling really. I'll have to have a more detailed look at it, but yeah, just sort of glancing through yesterday, there weren't many of them types that jumped out at you. Maybe, probably due to the changes they've made, the novices need 5 runs now, don't they? So that's made it a bit harder for them, you know. Horses like a Ballybow or the Jacob's Ladder would have looked nice types for this, but they've not got them runs into them. They're off kind of nice, lovely marks, them horses, you know. Yeah, the Enabler may be worth getting on side, possibly. I've not been totally taken with him this season, but I think he's a top price 20s, and he just looks like he's been plotted up all season for this from Elliott. You know, to be honest, he got him out really good and early, you know. I think he's made a point of getting 5 runs into him, so I may have a bit of change on that guy at 20s. I'll say I'll do back a few for this race. Yeah, it's a bit of a weakness really, this race for me, but I like it, and I do like the pipe. I love this race. Yeah, McClory, he could be a sort of classy staying chaser of the future. I think he's top price 10 to 1 non-run and no bet. That's with 365. That's a bit of a standout, I think. But the thing with him is this Kopek Demi, this magical horse has just appeared, hasn't he, on this scene. Now, Kopek Demi, I looked at this fella a week or two ago, you know. I noticed he were prominent in the betting. I thought, I've not heard of this horse. Who's this? Clicked on him. You know, 1 run on the racing post. I'm thinking he's not qualified, this guy. This is just one of them anomalies. Just ignore this. And then we had the entries out, didn't we? The other day last week we had the entries out. I noticed he's, you know, in blue on odds checker getting. I'm like, no, he didn't qualify. I've already checked. But I thought I'll look again. So I looked on the racing post thing again. Yeah, he's only had 1 run. I'm like scratching my head here. I'm like, why are people backing this? He can't run. I thought maybe Racing Post have got it wrong. So I clicked on at the races site, and lo and behold, he'd had 3 runs there over hurdles. I was like, that's it then. But people have still got it wrong. He's still not qualified to run, but he has had 3 runs. I can see why people are getting a bit confused and backing him. Like, didn't think anything more of it. Then in the evening, I'm sat down, you know, watching telly, Willie, and got a message from my dad. Have you seen this Kopek to me? 5 runs for Willie JP. I'm like, no, he's not had 5 runs. I've checked. And he's like, yes. And I'm like, he hasn't. So I'm like, all right, I'll check again. So yeah, I checked again on the Racing Post thing, And yeah, magically, all these extra runs had appeared. Like, right, okay. So yeah, he has had 5 runs. He's favourite for everything. Um, the chat is he should be off a marker about 136. And, looking at his French form, that kind of looks like thrown in, really. Don't know what the handicap is going to do. He might play ball with it being a JP horse. We've seen horses like this before. I mean, I'll be honest with you, I backed him for everything but boat race. I have. Right, he's one I kind of want on my team, but like I say, my approach with these handicaps, I don't mind having like 2 or 3 on my team. And yeah, I kind of wanted him on my side, so I backed him for everything. But we've seen these horses before, haven't we? Gaelic Warrior, he got chinned, didn't he, somehow off 129. Um, there were another horse in this race. Gentleman to me, a few years back now, he were a bit similar, Turned out good horses, but it's still like, I don't know how long Willie's had the horse in his yard for a start. Au Petit Sons, I think, for Paul Nicholls. Similar sort of thing. I think he'd had 1 or 2 runs in France and he won the Coral Cup with him. So it can be done. He's kind of one, if you back him more than one, you kind of want him on your side. But at the same time, I mean, he could go off very short, and you're kind of guessing a bit, aren't you? So I won't be, you have to be fearful of him. But if you really like something against him, I wouldn't let it put you off, So if this tap on the go comes a 10 leg second to this magic horse, then he does But getting back to tap on the go, I do really like him. He looks like a sort of fine chasing type, like I say. Damasider's presenting. He looks like the right sort for this race. We had a point on him at 25s. We're going to have another couple of points on him. We'll make him up to 3 points. The best price at the minute is 16-1. We bet 365. And that is a standout. He seems to be getting kind of nibbled away there. So we'll have another 2 points on him at that. Take him up to 3. Okay. I do like him. Yeah, I've talked plenty about him, but yeah. Right then. Ultima. I had a little look through the Ultima race because there weren't many entries, were there? So I thought this could be a good race, to have an early look at. And it might be one of the easier ones, to have a strong view on early at the handicaps. It don't look a good race, does it? I'm like, well, this looks a disappointing renewal to me. I think it's weaker than the last few seasons. The horse I'm not going to put him up, but I have backed him a little, and that's the Changing Man at 10-1, non-runner, no bet. I think that's just with 365. Now, it was impressive at Ascot. I know that horse fell, didn't he, early, but to be honest, the way he did it, I think he'd have won anyway. He's an horse I've always thought, there's an horse in there, like, things have gone wrong, his jumping weren't great, but he's maybe just come into himself now. He's off a nice looking mark for that race, off 140. He ran a nice race in the Pertemps once upon a time at the track, at Cheltenham. So he's got a little bit of track form there. He looks to be improving. He looks off a nice mark. He don't look a good race, but I'm not sure. I can't quite commit to putting him up. But what I would say is the 10-1 non-runner no bet, I think it's just worth taking if you don't mind sort of trading back, because I think I backed him a bit and I just thought you'll have no bother laying this guy off at single figures, so you can just get a free bet. Like, you can lay your stake back for, you know, at single figures and have a free bet on him if he's not the one, you know, that you kind of like closer to the time. So I did have a bit on him, but I'm not putting him up for our sheet, like, you know, because I'm not quite sure about the race yet. The mares, yeah, Jade DeGruge back from the abyss, isn't she? She is. You know, she ran in that Quaviga hurdle. She won that nicely. She looked quite rusty to me. I thought Paul were quite busy on his hands through the race, you know, but she's a strong stayer, isn't she? And she did it nicely in the end. She should come on plenty for this, you know. I kind of think the big two will go champion hurdle. I do. She's there 5-2. She'll be favourite on the day if those two defect to the champion. And she'll be a worthy favourite, you know. She's not bomb-proof, but she's there with a chance, and a good chance at that. So, you know, we got a nice ticket on her, haven't we? So that's nice. She's a strong stayer, I'd say. The more cut in the ground, the better for her. You know, she'll love the 2.5 mile, and that stiff hill there should all suit her. Yeah, and the softer the ground, the better. Yeah, even without the big two, it's going to be an interesting race. That July Flowers in there, we've got a nice ticket on her as well. Joyeuse could come into this. There's a few others there, Woodoo, and you know, but yeah, we'll see later. But it might be coming nice for us, that one. Maybe we're getting a bit of sort of look back there, you know. Which brings us to the champion hurdle. Then, like I say, I think, well, particularly with Jade DeGruge coming to the fore now, you know, Willie's doubled down on champion hurdle all season for Lossiemouth. I think Lossiemouth goes champion hurdle, I do, you know. And I think Brighter Days Ahead does as well. Now, I don't know. I get these things wrong all the time, don't I? If you've been watching me a while. I do. You know, it's not easy to predict what the horses are going to do, is it? But to predict what other people are going to do, I think's even more difficult, like, you know. But I think she comes here. Ever since she beat Stateman first, you know, the first time she beat him, I thought champion hurdle this. And as I said before, when he said mares, she went out to a big price on Betfair and I had a bit on her for the champion. I'm like, I don't believe it. And I don't believe it, the mares. I don't. Why would you keep her in training to win a mares when, you know, they keep saying they're going chasing next year with her? I think they've got this dawn run thing on mind. They must have. I mean, who cares about the mares? Do you know, I can't even tell you some of the winners. I would try to think, do you know, like Vroom Vroom Mag and Benny Juju and stuff. I'm like, I can't even remember if they won them or not now. I mean, that's how fucking irrelevant this race is, really. Who cares if she wins the mares or not? That was bothered, are they? I think she'll go champion hurdle and she'll have a cracking chance. Like I say, I could be wrong. But to me, you've only got 3 horses in the champion hurdle. You've got Constitution Hill and the 2 girls there. And, you know, nothing else matters for me. I think it's a total 3-horse race. Now, we've got a nice ticket on Lossiemouth there at 14s. So, we could back. I can't back constitutional odds on. I can't. So to me, it's a kind of no-brainer. So we're going to have 4 points on Brighter Days Ahead at 9-4, 365 again, non-runner, no bet. Okay. So basically, if constitutional doesn't win the champion hurdle, we're going to win it, you know. And I just can't bring myself. I've got a choice between backing constitutional and Brighter Days Ahead. I just can't bring myself to back constitutional odds on, like, you know, it's like 4-7 or something. No, I just can't do it. So we're not going mad on the race because constitutional could win, you know, he could easily win. So that leaves us just 7 points on that race. And we've got 3 on Lossiemouth at 14s and 4 on Brighter Days Ahead at 9-4. And I don't mind that. We're done with that race. We'll take the 9-4 now because, like I say, it's like, look at Madgebury. We took 9-4 for Madgebury. Weren't sure if it was a great price, but it looks a great price now, doesn't it? Like I said at the time, things can go wrong with horses, so you know there is a chance, particularly if like Paul decides to ride Lossiemouth, there's a chance Brighter Days Ahead could be bigger on the day. I'd say. I think if Paul picks State Man, I think Brighter Days Ahead will be shorter if she goes here. Okay. Yeah. The race itself, I'll look at this race. Either way, in my mind, I haven't looked at official ratings. I don't all that often. I don't care for them all that much, to be honest. But I've got a fairly good working of it in my mind, what I think. And I'd say like 150s horses, you're looking at like grade 3 horses. When you get to 160s, you're looking at grade 2/grade 1 horses. I think 170s is your proper grade 1 horses, like, you know. And then your 180s are just few and far between. They're your proper superstars. Like, to my mind, there's only 2 180s horses in training this year. Like I said, I haven't looked at the figures, so if I'm wrong, that's fine. It's just what's in my mind. And I think they're constitutional and Galloping de Champs, you know. They're your proper superstars in training. Possibly you could argue Enigmine as well. I think he were at that level a couple of years back. I don't think he's not a 180s horse anymore, I don't think, like, you know, but he were, I think, just about. But yeah, these two. I look at this race, and to be honest, in my head, I kind of think, you got your like 180s horse there, constitutional. I think Brighter Days Ahead's pushing into like 170s territory, like, you know. And I'd say Lossiemouth is maybe a little behind on what we know. I'd put her at like a sort of mid 160s horse, maybe, you know. To be fair, yeah, I know I love Lossiemouth, but, you know, looking at it cold, that's kind of how I see it stacked. But don't forget, the mares do get that £7, so that brings them closer to constitutional as well, like, you know, if you look at it from a ratings perspective. In my mind, the official numbers might say something completely different, like, but that's how I see it. Now, if Brighter Days Ahead comes here, they're going to go some pace, aren't they? They are. They're going to. She'll have a pacemaker in there. You know, she's going to sit just off the pacemaker. I'd imagine, you know, constitutional will just travel at his ease, probably tracking Brighter Days Ahead, maybe a few lengths behind her, like, you know, maybe 4 or 5 behind her early on, and then maybe he'll get a little closer. But You know, they can't go fast enough for Constitutional. He's like the fastest horse I've ever seen, and I think the faster they go, the better he is. But this is the Constitutional of a few years back, like the Supreme Constitutional. If he's that horse anymore, I just don't know. As I mentioned, we haven't seen it yet. We haven't. He's had colic and breathing issues and stuff, you know. If there's any holes in him, this race will find him out with brighter days ahead in it. I can see a scenario where he comes to take brighter days ahead. But then what happens? You know, maybe it'll come to the last upsides. And he's not really a horse we've seen had to get down and dirty before, have we? I mean, look, like, if probably making a mess of this. Like, if all these horses are at that absolute peak, say, of what we know of them, we don't quite know how good Lossiemouth is yet. But say all these horses were at the absolute best, I think Constitutional wins this by about 3 lengths. On the snaff, almost, yeah. You know, I think he'd win it 3 lengths at his ease from brighter days ahead, and then maybe another 5 back to Lossiemouth. The State Man will be in a different county by that time, you know. Yeah, I don't think for me he doesn't even come into the conversation here, only with regards to what Paul's going to ride, I guess, and the jockey bookings and stuff. That's how I kind of see it. If they were all at their best, I don't know if Constitutional is at his best. We do know Brighter Days is at her best. She's a 6-year-old, and her graphs like that, she's just getting better and better and better. She's like the coming force. The season's gone perfectly for her. Yeah, she's got a cracking chance here. She has, you know, she has. It's just a chance, because I do like Lossiemouth. I mean, just going back to Brighter Days Ahead, we don't know how good Brighter Days Ahead is yet, because she's still climbing. She hasn't plateaued yet. We just don't know. You know, she could be the best mare I've ever seen, you know. I think at the minute I'd have to say that were like Honeysuckle, Annie Power sort of thing, you know. We don't know. I'm not saying she is, but we don't know yet, because she's just getting better and better, and we just don't know where that's going to finish, like, you know. Now, I'd imagine Lossiemouth is going to be sat a little further back. I know they tried to lead on her last time. I don't think that suited her. I'm not sure that if that's why she fell, because she weren't, like, focused. She's always been ridden, like, you know. She's always chased the hare, hasn't she? She's never been the hare. I don't know why Danny did that last time. I don't. Now, it's just a chance. Do you know if Brighter Days Ahead and Constitutional do get in a bit of a war? Lossiemouth's she's gonna scream up that hill. She is. She's gonna eat that hill. She's 3 from 3 for Cheltenham. She loves Cheltenham. Even though I'd maybe just have her like rated lower than the other 2 here, I think, and on art, we don't really know. People have said, oh, she's not like, she's not got the pace because of Kempton. That's a load of rubbish. We've seen she has got the pace, you know. She pulled Paul's arms out in that triumph. I do go back to what I said before. I don't think. I think there might be something in that Willie's horses just aren't ready at Christmas time for like an extreme sort of test of pace. You know, State Man couldn't handle it. Lossiemouth couldn't handle it this year. Gaelic Warrior certainly couldn't handle it, but then that might be other factors as well with him. But, you know, even going back, I remember Shaq and Pussoir, I think, got beat by A plus Tard at Christmas, I think. Vitor, did he get turned over at like 1-4 at Christmas once, you know? So, yeah, I think there might be something in that, just the way he trains, maybe, you know, maybe sort of building up the muscle mass, and then the kind of speed training comes a bit later. Maybe, you know, maybe I'm talking rubbish there, but I do think there might be something in that with Willie's horses at Christmas. They just don't have sort of pace, you know. They can be exposed if they're exposed to that sort of extreme pace test, maybe. You know, they looked plenty fast enough last time, didn't they? Lossiemouth and State Man, they were going at some, like, I don't know what happened in that race. I'd imagine Willie banged their heads together at jockeys after that race. I don't know what they were doing. But yeah, I can see Lossiemouth pouncing late here and fast, maybe. You know, I've not lost faith in it. I maybe got a little bias there, you know, to be fair. But I just feel like there's a champion hurdle horse in there, you know, and the season's not panned out for it yet, but we may still get to see it. Yeah, the forward warrior little, you know, more for a mentality than anything else. We'll see. But yeah, I'm happy to take the two girls there, and if Constitutional wins, so be it. You know, but bar him, we got like the race locked up, so it just seems the right thing to do, having got Lossiemouth at a nice price. You know. I am rambling today. Sorry, there's maybe not so much structure to this. I'm just rambling a bit, aren't I? The one last thing to talk about is the jockey, really. I mean, regards Lossiemouth, I find it baffling that Paul won't ride her. I do, to be honest. I can kind of got it last time at Leopardstown. Here at Cheltenham, I don't get it. It's like Paul, Willie, Patrick all seem to be on Team State Man. There's only really Danny that's spoken in Lossiemouth's favour. I guess he's trying to keep that ride. And it was funny, I was listening to something of Ruby's quite recently, and he was saying, like, Willie he tends to give the ride to a jockey. If a jockey puts his hand up and he kind of believes in the horse, that's the way he'll kind of go. So maybe Danny's playing that game a bit and thinking, you know, I believe Lossiemouth will win this, so give me the ride, like, you know, Patrick's there. I don't know which way it'll go. I mean, to be honest with you, and this is just my views, and there's only us here, so it doesn't matter, does it? But I remember when. Do you remember when Danny and Patrick had that spat with Gaelic Rory, that race at Christmas time, about coming up his inside and that? To me, I don't know if Danny's sort of fell out of favour since then, but to me, he seems to have gone down the pecking order a little bit. I don't know if he's like Willie's favourite, you know. So I don't know who's going to ride Lossiemouth out. It baffled me that Paul won't pick him, but it does seem like that. So it may even end up with Patrick on. And you know what? The way this race is going to pan out, that might be okay. It might be okay, because he tends to sit far back, doesn't he? And it might just suit. It might just suit the way this race pans out. So we'll see. But for today, anyway, yeah, I rambled a bit there. We were having 4 points Bright Days at 9 to 4, non-running over. But I did check all these prices just before I did this video. Okay, so that's Champion Hurdle done and dusted. I guess on the day, do you know if you get any of these boosts, you might get super boost, get Constitutional at 6 to 4 or 2 to 1 or something like that, you know, then maybe you could just properly tie the race up there, because there's only them three that can win this, I'm sure, like, you know. Honest, we were here before, weren't we, with Mayor's Novice Hurdle last year, but yeah. Right then. Turners. Cowabunga's out. Okay, sweet on him. We won at double figures, weren't we? And I think he went to like 7 to 2 or something. He were looking like second favourite. Yeah. So that's a shame, but look, it happens. We just have to get on with it, don't we? So that leaves us with just Final Demand. We had, what did we have on him? I can't remember. We had like 4. I think we had 4 points. I'll look back when I do the roundup. Like, I think we had like 4 points on him at 7 to 4 or something like it. It's kind of an in-between bet, and that's kind of how I feel. I don't feel like fully committing to him. There's something that's just like nagging me. Shades of Denman, this horse, for me. You know, and that's not a bad thing, is it? You know, if he's half as good as Denman, he'll be all right. But Denman got beat here. You know, he got done by Nicanor, I think, maybe. He just looks all over a big strapping 3-mile chaser, doesn't he? With a lot of class and some gears, but them sort of horses often get beat here. Shades of Denman, I don't know. I can't fully commit to him. The New Lion, yeah. You know, I like Cowabunga because I thought he'd have that little burst of speed, like, and the New Lion's the obvious one that's got that anti, you know. I'd say that probably makes it more like the Yellow Clay comes here rather than the Albert Bartlett. You say the sort of more or less the second favourites out now, and he were leaning this way anyway, weren't he, Gordon? So that might just nudge him over the line in that respect. James's Gates here, a Coral Cup horse. Must admit, you know, like, I hadn't seen him much, so I kind of missed it. But yeah, when it became apparent he weren't going for the Coral Cup, I did have a little on this fella on Betfair. He's top price 12s now. He was much bigger than that on Betfair. I wouldn't put a line through him here. I wouldn't. I mean, he's a good horse. He is, but he's maybe he's rated 136. I think he's like a mid 150s horse. That's like, you know, I think he'd had a stone in hand in a Coral Cup, but if that's quite good enough to be taking this out, if you want to be more like a 160s horse, but it wouldn't shock me. It wouldn't shock me. He's a player. He's a lively outsider, let's say, for this. I won't put a line through him. But yeah, big news with Cowabunga's out there. Bumper, right. Since we backed our horse here, this Bambino Fever, Willie's just had a conveyor belt of bumper horses coming out and winning, haven't they? Yeah, we had Copper Cabana came out, impressive, went favourite. We've had this Game of Inches came out recently, very impressive, you know, and he's gone favourite now. I like this Game of Inches. He looks a proper horse. He looks like a cracking, like, chasing type for the future. They don't always win the bumper, but he looks nice. I like him, I do. I still like her Bambino Fever. I do. She's getting £7 off these. The jockeys, I'm kind of thinking Game of Inches, I think might be the one Patrick goes for. And I think Paul might ride this Copacabana, and Jody rode Bambino Fever last time. So I think Paul might give her one here if you like and let her keep the ride, Yeah, but she's a fair jockey in these bumpers. That's no bad thing. She can ride this. So yeah, although I mean we went for sixes, didn't we? And you can get bigger now. Sevens, plenty of sevens about. We've only got one bet in this race, haven't we? 4 points on her. We may just go in again at a bigger price. I don't know. We'll see nearer the time. There's one horse in here that I really like, which I haven't heard anybody talking about, and it's Henry de Bromhead's horse, Scope to Improve. I were really taken with him last time. He looks to have serious gears, this horse. He's 25-1 best non-runner no bet. It wouldn't be like Henry to have the bumper winner at Cheltenham, would it? But until last year, it wouldn't have been like Henry to have the Supreme winner either. So, I like that horse. I do. We only saw him the once in that bumper, but he's a dark one for you anyway. A point on him. Bit of a mad one. Yeah, well, sorry, we'll have a point on him. I'll have a point on him. I had a little bit myself on him and a bit of change. We'll just have a point on him. 25-1 non-runner no bet he is. I forget where it is now, but yeah, it's out there. It is. Might not come here. Might be a bit of a mad shout that, but I did like the horse. He's got gears. We'll have a point on him at 25. It's a nice price. Okay. There's a horse that's well touted in here. He's like 14's Zarfatal. He keeps getting entered and not running. I'm just thinking, Willie's last couple of years, Willie hasn't sent his best bumper horse, has he, to Cheltenham? Last year we had Copec de Boards. The year before it were Ballyburn. I wonder if this year it's possibly this Zarfatal. So we'll see what this fella looks like when we do get to see him. He could possibly be a sort of Supreme or Ballymore type for next year. He could be. Right, Jack Richards, Waterford Whispers. That went wrong for us, didn't it? Vet certificate or vet's advice, he were withdrawn, so he's not qualified for Cheltenham. He's out. For our purposes, that's fine. We won non-runner no bet. It hurt me personally because I was a bit greedy and I went for the big prices on him, and I had more on him than I should have done. So, that went bad for me. But for us, it's not so bad. I can't quite bring myself to look at it yet. We tracked this Nürburgring all the way through, haven't we, this season? I like him. I had a little look at him. He's off 140, but his hurdles rating were 150. I think he won the Galway hurdle off something like 140. I think that's not a bad mark for him. But his hurdles rating's 150, and as I mentioned a few times before, the English handicapper, it's a bit different to Ireland. Ireland, you can have horses running that are like 3 stone lower rated over one discipline than the other. English handicapper don't like that so much, so he might look at that hurdles rating, and that's one horse he might take a little swipe at. This Nürburgring is on the more likely list, We'll see. But there's loads in there, Yeah, we'll just leave that race there for now. The Potemps, Will the Wise threw his hat into the ring for that yesterday, didn't he? Strongly supported for Gavin. They went a sensible pace in the conditions. He was always travelling well here. Always kind of looked the winner. I think the jockey were conscious to try and give him as easy a time as possible. He hit the line well. I've got a lot of time for this horse, and funny enough, I was chatting with my dad about this horse last week, and we had a little bit of 33s, just had a bit of change on him for the pipe at 33s. So I think initially we were entered to run in that Michael Purcell, but they had a change of tack and went for this Potemps qualifier instead when it was like rescheduled. He's into single figures for the Potemps. He's a bit close, this, isn't it? He's gone 3 mile every ground yesterday. It's a bit tight, but I won't be putting a line through him, He's an horse I've got a lot of time for, yeah. Mares. Spindlebury, yeah. I thought she was so impressive here. Really impressed me. What she did from 2 out, I thought was awesome. She's so strong, isn't she, from the last to the line. She looks made for that hill at Cheltenham. Yeah, look, Willie's saying after he's... Right, just give me a minute, I've just got to let the dog outside. Yeah, oh God, I thought she was impressive me. I mean, she just slammed second favourite for the mares, hasn't she? I know she'll get in £10, but wow. It was funny, right at the beginning of the season, obviously, we won Brighter Days Head at 8s, weren't we, for that mare's chase. When they did that U-turn and kept her over hurdles, this girl were at the top of my list in my mind for the mare's chase. But it's not really got that experience into her for it, and maybe it's fair enough she don't go there. We did say, didn't we, she's more than likely a doubtful runner. That's why we did the non-runner no bet. He's got Dino Blue and Allegory Devassi there already, hasn't he? But yeah, he's on about going to the Grade 1 at the Fairy House and taking the boys on. I'd like her for the mare's chase, I would. I think Dino Blue, Allegory Devassi, Only by Night look to be a kind of main rivals, certainly in the market anyway. I don't think any of those really want a stiff 2.5. I think if this girl were anywhere near those coming to that last, she'd have them after the last, she'd have them on that running. I just love how she hits the line. I think if she goes there, she wins. I do. But that's probably doubtful. She has got plenty of sort of fairy house form, and maybe this has been a sort of long-term plan of Willie's, to go for this fairy house race. It seems to me almost like he's sending his B team to Cheltenham. It kind of makes sense because it's only Grade 2 at Cheltenham, and his best one is keeping back for this Grade 1 at Fairy House. you can kind of understand it. It's a bit frustrating, but look, one non-runner, no bet, so it's all right. Like, you know, I think she's like 6 or 7s now, non-runner, no bet. If she went there, I think that's only because it's unlikely she runs. I think if she goes there, I think Paul would ride her over Allegory Devassi. I mean, Allegory Devassi's been beat twice in this already. Dino Blue's been beat at the festival the last 3 years. I think she's been favourite and been done every time. I think she's better. I do. For that test, you know, the stiff 2-5. But yeah, I don't think she's going. But maybe he'll change his mind. I think she'd go off like 5-2 or something, you know. That's fine. Albert Bartlett. Yeah, like I was saying, the yellow clay I think's more likely to go to the Turners than he were before, I guess, with Kawabunga coming out, maybe, you know. He's always sort of leaning towards the Turners. Personally, I think, you know, it takes some whacking in this Bartlett if he does come here. But I do like this Ballybow, I do. Just before we get to him, we saw Jacob's Ladder yesterday. I like this horse too. He's only been hurdling since Christmas. He's going to make a lovely stay of this horse. He could possibly join Ballybow in the Albert Bartlett. You know, it's the same connections. But he'd be an interesting contender, I'd say. I think there's more to come from him at 3 miles. Again, it's a bit tight, isn't it? He's also got a Turner's entry, whereas Ballybow's only got the one entry, the Albert Bartlett. So he could go Turner's Jacob's Ladder, but the same connections are Blue Devassi that may go there. So I'm not quite sure if he's going to go to Cheltenham or not, but he's 25-1 non-runner, no bet for the Bartlett. I'd say he's probably overpriced at that. I don't think he'd be anything like 25s if he ran. But he's probably doubtful maybe to go. But I do like him, you know. Ballybow. I like this horse. I love this horse. And you know, the more I look at him, the more I watch him, the more I like him. He's won 2.25 mile. And do you know that race he had last time over 3 that turned into a sprint over the last few? That was a lovely prep, that. You know, I love that. It was about a month before, weren't it? It was over 3 mile, and he didn't have a like really hard race because he just sprinted at the end. He did clock 37 there, you know, which for a 3 miler in bad going. So he's not like devoid of pace. I say he's won over 2.25. He clocked 37 last time. But he's got a stamina-laden pedigree. He has, you know. The more of a test it is, the better his chance will be. I just think he's made for this race. He's made for an Albert Bartlett. You know, I've been looking through all the graded races, and I'm struggling to find anything at a halfway decent price that I strongly fancy, you know. I like to have a bit of a lash at something, like, you know, and it's this guy. We're going for this guy. We're kind of backing him in instalments, aren't we? We've had 2 points on him. I think we had a point, then another point. We're going to have another 3 points on him today. He's 16-1 non-runner, no bet. I think Sky Bet and 365. So we're going to have another 3 points on him. We'll make him a 5 pointer at like a nice sort of price, you know. Yeah, I like to have one like that, and I am struggling this year, I must admit, to find anything at double figures that, you know, that I think's got a cracking chance. And yeah, I've gone with this fella, you know. He ticks all the boxes for me for this race. And also what we do, I very rarely put a multiple bet up or anything like that, and for good reason. They normally go wrong, don't they? But we'll have a point each way double, this Tap on the Go at the 16s and Ballybow at 16s. You only get first three for the Bartlett, fifth first three, that's poor each way terms, isn't it? So you may want to wait to play this sort of bet. You'll probably get first four, maybe even five at Sky Bet or something on the day. But we'll go for the prices, and to be honest, for Ballybow, we only need the first two anyway. You know, he's going to either win it or he's going to be second. So, first three's fine for Ballybow. Tap on the Go, we get the first five with 365, fifth first five. We could do the non-runner. We could do the anti-post if you're feeling really brave and get the bigger price, but as we've seen lately, there are risks attached there, you know. So I'm trying to look after a huge, big recycle bin a bit. So we'll stick to the non-runner no bet. We'll have a point each way double, and just that way, do you know? I think they're both going to run massive races, and if we kind of hit the bar with them both, at least we're still going to be in profit. Okay. And if we do win, we're going to be in a lot of profit, aren't we? But yeah, it's a kind of, I like the each way double because it gives you the big jackpot chance, and it also gives you, like I say, if you hit the bar with them both, you're still going to be in profit. Okay, which is probably more likely, isn't it, really, to be honest. But right, we've just clocked an hour there. We'll leave it there for today. Yeah, a few bets in there, weren't they? Right, if I can sort out all the technical stuff, we'll be doing a video with Mark there at Cheltenham Chat, which should be good. So I'm going to be in touch with him about that this week and see what we can sort out. It's looking quite likely, but I know what I'm like with the technical stuff, so I can't promise it yet. But it is looking very likely, so I think we'll manage it. Okay, so that should be good. I think we're probably going to split it into four, because you know what I'm like, and I reckon when we get chatting, it could be an all-nighter, like, you know. So yeah, I think we'll probably end up splitting it into four, like, you know, and do each day. Okay. So there you go. 15 days. It's coming. Okay. So thanks for your time. I do appreciate it. And I'll see you again soon. Alright, bye.